Chris Beachum here with Gold Derby, along with Rob Licuria. It's our annual tradition we do for Oscars and Emmys. In this case, with Oscars, it's 24 categories in 24 minutes. We're going to discuss them all. Some will fly through because there's really no discussion. And others, like this first category, we will talk about as long as we want to. So, Rob, take it away on Best Picture. You've got Ford versus Ferrari, right?
In the ninth position, yes. You know what? This category is really confusing me. I'm very, very puzzled about whether I should go with Parasite or whether I should go with 1917. And frankly, I have been swapping these out almost every day. Right now, I'm with 1917. I think I might swap to Parasite.
Why?
Well, I just keep thinking that first, there's a lot of people that I really admire and respect who are going with Parasite. That's one problem. That always gives me pause. Secondly, Parasite did win the SAG award for ensemble, and that is a huge achievement for a film like Parasite. It's a foreign film, obviously. It's the first time it's ever happened. That standing ovation sticks in my mind as well that happened at the SAG award ceremony. Then you've got the way that it's really performed in the last week with some of these guilds. Surprisingly, as far as I'm concerned, it actually really does have legs. This is the problem, though. I put a lot of weight with what BAFTA does, and I know that BAFTA has a different way of voting for Best Picture, but it's a similar type of academy, and having 1917 effectively sweep the other day, that has now given me some pause as well, which is why I keep going back and forth. And I probably will do that right up until the day of the Oscars.
Well, I've used BAFTA in recent years, and it's been miserable for Best Picture because they've been wrong all the way back to 12 Years a Slave. So I don't know if that was a good thing or bad thing that 1917 won there. Last year, the last 2 years, I remember switching because of BAFTA, thinking, oh, well, if Roma could win BAFTA and also win foreign language, it should win the Oscar. I'm going to go with 1917. As everybody that watches me on any of these things, I'm very much about stats. And although I've gotten Best Picture wrong in recent years, the PGA win, I should have paid attention more to Green Book last year. PGA does their Best Picture exactly like the Oscars. And they've been right 2 years in a row. They probably would have been right the La La Land year, but things went off the rails quick for that movie. Not quick, but at the last minute for that movie. But they got Green Book right last year. They got Shape of Water right the year before. And those are tough years to predict. So I'm going with 1917. The thing about the SAG award that everybody keeps bringing up is true, but SAG is about half right on ensemble over its 25 years. I mean, recently you've had Hidden Figures and The Help, Black Panther last year. I mean, they don't. And these standing ovations, that's true. Nobody got a bigger ovation at the DGA than Bong Joon-ho. Did that help him? No.
Yeah. You know what as well? Like, I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. The thing is, when I talk about stats, I think every film in the race has like a stat going against it, as we've probably talked about before.
That's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
You see something and you go, well, but what about this?
Exactly. The thing is that when I think about the SAG Ensemble Prize, it's not because that means that it's better for Best Picture. I just think to have a film like Parasite, which is in Korean, it's not part of the industry in Hollywood, and it happens to win and then wins a few other guilds, makes me think it's actually very beloved by the industry, and that is what's made me lose sleep because I need to get out more. So, yeah, okay, we're going to have a problem in Best Picture.
I would say 6 movies really don't have a shot at Best Picture here, which is surprising since from August through November, the two battling really with everybody were Once Upon a Time and The Irishman. I think either one. They both so drastically underperformed in recent weeks. I just can't imagine they would win. The only one that's the sleeper that could be everybody's 2 or 3, Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, that's another film that's really performed quite well over the last week and a half. Amazing kind of ascendancy for that film. Absolutely.
A lot of passion.
And a lot of passion, and you need passion with a preferential voting system. So disappointment for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because literally 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, many of us were thinking that was probably the front runner. The Irishman's probably going to go home empty-handed on Oscar night. There's going to be a lot of really interesting stuff happening at the Oscars. This category, as usual, is the one that we're all now watching with bated breath.
Well, let's fly through some of these. Director, I think, was a real battle for a while. But Sam Mendes has it now, right?
Yeah. Over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, director has become like a technical achievement award to me. And this one will be just that yet again. Sam Mendes will win 20 years after he won the first time. The DGA, that kind of seals the deal. I don't think there's any more discussion. Bong Joon-ho, maybe he's got like that.
DGA's been right 7 years in a row. And director's
Yeah.
not always easy. Let's go through... 2 years ago, we had an acting sweep across the entire 2 months of awards season. It really never happened in that manner before. Usually 3 out of the 4, like last year. But Renee Zellweger, Joaquin Phoenix, Laura Dern, Brad Pitt, there's no possibility any one of them loses, right?
Really, there isn't. People have tried to maybe formulate an argument that supporting actress is slightly up in the air. That is crazy. These are locked down. It's so boring. They're all very deserving. I'm very happy that they're winning, but it's really boring, isn't it?
Boring, but one of my biggest pet peeves reading in our forums or reading comments or whatever is when somebody says, "Oh, I wish it wasn't boring. I wish somebody would upset, just to make it fun." Well, this is not a prize to make your life better for 10 minutes that you enjoy that. These 4 people have worked really hard to get to this position. I'm sorry that it's boring, but they all 4 really deserve it this year.
Yeah.
Now, screenplay categories,
Again,
let's take a little bit more time on those than we do on some other things. I'll tell you what I have first this time. Now that we've seen this past week, I'm going with the 2 WGA winners. I'm going with Jojo Rabbit and Parasite. The one that gives me more pause is Parasite because Quentin wasn't eligible at WGA. But I thought he's more popular in Europe than he even is in America in terms of his career. I thought for sure he was winning BAFTA. And when Parasite took the writing award at BAFTA as well, I think it's Parasite and Jojo.
I totally agree. And again, maybe 2 weeks ago, many of us, I was reading all over the internet, Little Women had this one, had
Little Women's
locked down
for weeks.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time had it locked down. And if it wasn't Once Upon a Time, it could have been Marriage Story. Can you believe we are now a week away from the Oscars or whenever it is, and Jojo Rabbit and Parasite, most of us now are thinking that will win because of what happened at BAFTA and what happened at WGA. And frankly, I think that's it now. We're done. Those 2 categories, I think, are pretty clear to me. And if there's going to be a surprise, maybe Greta Gerwig might get that consolation prize. But no, I think this is going to Taika Waititi.
I did some stat work looking at all the different places that you would look for writing awards, and they're all about 50-50. I thought, say BAFTA or the Writers Guild would be, I just looked at the last decade, by the way, just back to 2010. They're not the, slam dunks that you're thinking they are. Black Klansman last year did not win at the Writers Guild or at BAFTA. Can't remember if it was eligible at Writers Guild or not. But just as an example, so it's not the be all end all to win those awards. But I think we talked about passion earlier. I think Taika is such a popular person in the industry right now. So is Bong Joon-ho, who is one of the credited writers on Parasite. I think that those things carry them across. And let me say this, it's probably better for the Greta Noah household that one doesn't win and the other one loses. One wins and the other loses. I mean, can you imagine you and Paula being up for a major award, not against each other, one of you wins, one of you loses on the same night?
It would be intolerable. There'd be a lot of very dirty looks at each other. So it's better that this happens. Can you believe there are a couple, they're in separate categories? What a story it would have been had they both gone home with Oscars.
That's what I thought was going to happen for a long time. I could see the photo backstage with both of them holding their Oscars. And it's not impossible. They're both in that upper tier. I mean, there's several I don't think really have a shot at winning. But both of them really do. They really campaign well. And Little Women was my favorite movie of the year, which surprised me because I never
Wow, that's cool.
never had read the book, and it's not really
No,
for me necessarily. Okay, we got
it's a
to
great
keep
movie.
on, as we told
Yeah.
you, the top 24 categories in 24 minutes, and some don't need much time, and that includes cinematography. Roger Deakins will make it 2 out of the last 3 years, right?
Absolutely. Just that scene at Acoust alone with the flares, like he could have just won it just for that scene alone. What an amazing achievement. I can't wait to see him on the Oscar stage.
I will say, Marcus and I met him at a party a few weeks ago, and I said something. We talked for 3-4 minutes, and I said, "Well, that must have been a highlight of your career to get the Oscar a couple of years ago, and waiting so long." And he said, "Oh, not really."
It's so
I don't know
typical.
if it's a belief or if he's just not an award person.
Obviously not.
Anyway,
Wow.
a couple that aren't. Well, let me just say, makeup and hairstyling is another one that I would have never believed Bombshell would have dominated this. I wouldn't have gone with that. I mean, it's a very nice accomplishment, but it's it's making several of these real life people just look like they look in real life. I didn't, especially the women. I thought, well, hair and makeup. I mean, it's not. But anyway, everybody's voting for them, so I think that's a done deal, right?
I think so too. It won the BAFTA. I'm disappointed. I think some of the makeup works great, some of it isn't great, and it's very obvious and rubbery and caricature. And I was hoping that we would see a 1917 on Maleficent win here instead, but here we are.
Yeah, let's talk about 2 below the line that are difficult. I think costume design. Little Women just won at BAFTA, but when I was doing the stats on that, it wasn't a very telling. They've gotten they've been okay, 7 out of the last 9, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, and usually it's the most costumes that probably fits the bill here. It's the old period piece, but I was hoping Sandy Powell might have a shot here for The Irishman, and I don't know, even Jojo Rabbit. I thought there might have been a shot here as well. This one's tough, but I'm going with Little Women because generally when I'm not really sure what to do, I go with the Best Picture nominee. Well, they're all Best Picture nominees, which never happens, or the one with the most costumes, and that's Little Women.
They typically, unlike The Favorite last year, which I had winning, they do like those 1800s, 1700s type.
Otis Rippers.
Often, from European type movies. That's what they typically. I think that's going to win there. That'll be maybe the only win of the night for Little Women. Look out for JoJo, though. It did win at the Costume Guild, and that surprised a few people. One little tip there, though, Little Women wasn't nominated at the Costume Guild. That was one of the first groups that announced nominations. Little Women, came out very late in the season. I'm not sure that the Costume Guild voters had actually seen Little Women at that point. At least enough of them. So don't assume that the lack of a nomination there means a whole lot. Film editing, you talked about most. I think it's between Ford and Parasite, but I don't know which one to pick, so I'm going to just go with my old mantra from years and years and years and years, which is most editing typically wins.
Yeah. So does that mean Ford versus Ferrari?
Ford is what I'm going with, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think this is where they'll award that film, so that won't go home empty-handed. There's a lot of editing in The Irishman. It is, a 10,000-hour-long film, but Parasite won the ace. The only one that I think probably doesn't have a shot here is Joker. This one's really tough. This one's up in the air. And generally, as we've seen over the last 20 years in editing, a lot of the films that have won here have been like most editing, like the Bourne film and The Matrix. And so, I think Ford versus Ferrari is probably the safest bet.
Yeah, I really think it could be either one. Parasite won at the Editors Guild. JoJo won at the Editors Guild. Ford won last night at BAFTA. Critics' Choice was 1917, which is nominated, but I predicted it not to be nominated. They're very territorial in some of these branches, and just like Birdman, they didn't feel like the reason I thought it wasn't going to get nominated. It's just the editing is so invisible that they don't want that being the thing that's put out there to the public of what they really.
Yeah, it's a shame because
it was so invisible that it was probably one of the best edited movies of the year. But
absolutely,
that image of it being so invisible. They would rather vote for the most editing, typically. Production design is not easy.
No.
Really, 1917, I've got in third. Parasite, I've got in second. Once Upon a Time in first. Trying to look at my stats here. I wrote so much of this down. I'm sorry. I'm going to my notes. ADG has been right 7 out of the last 9, but they have multiple categories. This year, that went to Once Upon a Time and Parasite. So that's why I think it's one of those two. I'm going with Hollywood.
Yeah, I think I may switch to Hollywood. That could be where it picks up a second award. I'm going with 1917 at the moment. And frankly, I just think 1917 is going to have a very good night. And I just assumed that this would be one of the awards that it will pick up. But Parasite as well, like for it to win the Contemporary Prize at ADG is a real achievement, again, for a foreign film from Asia. And it's a really, really beautifully produced film. So I don't know, even Jojo Rabbit's got a lot going for it. This one's a tough one as well. I'm going to just park that one until the last minute.
There's a couple coming up that I'm really, by the time you watch this video, I may have changed. But score is not one of them. Forever, I thought it was going to be Thomas Newman, 1917. I certainly see how he could win. Everywhere else that has been voting on him, he had either won before or it wasn't, top priority that, hey, let's get this losing streak over, like an Oscar voter might think about.
Yeah.
Joker has dominated so much. Hildur would be, I think, the second female composer to win that category. So I think the domination along the way has got her, and she's so charming. I met her at the Golden Globes. She's wonderful.
Yeah, I thought Thomas Newman was going to finally win this. It's a beautiful score, but yeah, Hildur Guðnadóttir, she's just won so many prizes. And I think this is where, again, Joker will pick up an award apart from Joaquin Phoenix. And you know what? I listen to the Joker soundtrack all the time in the car, which is saying something probably about me more than about the score. But it's a really, really, really good one. And a lot of people feel that way. And I think a lot of people in the industry really feel that this score really elevated that film. So I think that one is locked down.
But other than Hildur and her family and the people at Warner Brothers, I don't think anybody would be upset if Thomas Newman finally won.
Absolutely, because it's a great score.
When I was watching that movie, I thought, boy, I wonder who scored this, because it was
it's so wonderful.
During the watching of the movie, I'm thinking how great it was. And I saw the same thing about Little Women, but this just won very recently, so 2 years ago.
Yeah. I feel sorry for Thomas Newman. I really feel sorry for him. He deserves to win eventually.
I go on with the skids here on songs. I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, you are? Okay, this is a really uninspiring category for me. I'm going with Elton John and Bernie Taupin. I just think this is the voters will want to give Rocket Man something, and they like Elton John, and it's going to be a spectacle, and just kind of leave it at that. I would give it to the Frozen 2 song, Surprise Surprise. I think that's a great song, but that they're not winning, and I don't think Diane Warren's winning either. So, what about you?
It's the only category where I can make a strong case for all 5. That's why it's really driving me nuts. Warren is just like Thomas Newman, waiting forever to win. I think it's her 11th. Frozen 2, the Lopez's have never lost. I mean, 2. Randy Newman, both times he's won in his career, which is a ton of nominations, were surprises. So this would be certainly a surprise. Rocket Man, the thing that's holding me back, and everybody almost is predicting it, is we had it predicted for a lot of nominations. Sound, sing, costumes. I think a lot of people had it for makeup and hair. Taron.
What a shocker.
It was one of the biggest snubs of a movie for the year. And every single person, like you just said yourself, that says, I'm going with Rocket Man, but I don't love the song, they all say the same thing. I've got summed up by Harriet right now. I think it's following the same path as Lady Gaga last year, where the main songwriter is also up for actress. Think about the fact that the acting branch has the most number of people. Everybody in the whole Academy votes for this category, but they have the most. What if a whole bunch of them think, I can't give her actress. I'm giving that to Renee. I'm going to give her song.
That's possible. It didn't help Mary J. Blige, but it's certainly possible. You know, and in a category
I
like
may
this,
switch
where it's
this one
so
by
yeah,
Sunday, but because I don't like being against everybody else. But every single person I've heard say that about Rocket Man.
yeah. I tell you what, like I think Toy Story 4 and Frozen 2 are in this. I think Harriet is in this. I think Breakthrough isn't because it's, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, it's a faith-based film, and a lot of people in the Academy probably aren't interested in that, and that's going to hurt Diane Warren, and that's why I just leaves Rocketman. But you're right, Rocketman was really skunked this year. After how well Bohemian Rhapsody did last year, and then for this year, just be completely snubbed, it's inexplicable. So that's why I just think maybe they might make it up to Elton John here. I don't know.
We've got 4 minutes to fly through the rest here. I've got
Yeah.
1917 on both sound categories. I know it might lose. He's going to win one of them. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take a hit if it doesn't win both.
Exactly the same as me. I could give them both to Ford versus Ferrari or both versus to 1917. I don't know which one's going to win. What it happened a few years ago with Arrival, where I got the wrong one right. So let's just go with that. I was hoping Joker would do well here. I think the sound on that film is incredible, but here we are.
Well,
what about visual effects?
The war movie typically wins editing and something else wins mixing. But visual effects,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the strongest category. Usually it's a Best Picture nominee, which would take it to 1917 or Irishman, so I went 1917. Although I could see The Lion King, which is all effects.
The whole movie's effects, although to me that's an animated film. I think 1917 is going to win this. The effects on that film are groundbreaking, and I hope the Academy agrees.
Animated feature.
That hurts my
Finally
brain.
took Toy Story 4 out. It's just like the Rocket Man thing we just talked about. Every single person I would ask about why they were predicting it really didn't have a reason. It's underperformed the whole award season. Sequels don't typically win here, notwithstanding Toy Story 3 almost a decade ago. I'm going with Klaus. BAFTA's been right all but, let me look real quick. I think it's all but 1 year since they both, you could go ahead and talk and I'll look that up.
Yeah, I'm going with Klaus as well because of the BAFTA win, and also it did so well at the Emmys. This is such a surprise to me. It's an interesting category. It feels like this year there's been a bit of a pushback against the sequels, and that's why a lot of these original films have done so well. Even I Lost My Body, the two Netflix films, I think are actually battling it out to win here, which is really exciting. I'm going with Klaus, though. I think that's going to be a really interesting
7 out of the last 9. And I remember the year that every single show would flip between Brave and Wreck-It Ralph. And at that time, it had never been wrong on an animated. So I just said, whatever BAFTA does that night, I'm going with that for the Oscar. It paid off because Brave won both. Very quickly, well, Parasite's winning international film, there's no doubt. What'd you go with on documentary feature? We got about 2 minutes.
This one's really tough for me. I thought I'd just go out on a limb here and go with Honeyland, the Macedonian film. I just think it's a really lovely story, and maybe they might want to go with something a bit more lighthearted. But that one's just a complete stretch for me. I have no idea what's going to happen there.
I went with American Factory just because I can see that moment if they attend where one or both of the Obamas go on stage with that director and producer. They don't get an Oscar, just like Al Gore didn't get an Oscar years ago. But remember, he was there to go on stage with him. I could see that happening. If Apollo 11 was here, I'd be predicting it, but it is not.
No.
So on the last 3 shorts, just say what you're going with. We don't have time to discuss them.
These ones are tough for me. I'm going with Kit Bull, I'm going with Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone, and I'm going with Brotherhood.
I got Kit Bull, skateboard, and Marcus and I were talking the other day, and I was talking to a couple of other people. And since I don't really know what to pick on live action short, they all collectively said Brotherhood is not great. They didn't understand why almost everybody's predicting it. So they all said that NEFTA Football Club was their favorite. So I'm going to go with that for now.
Cool. Well, I hope that happens. That'd be a really nice, interesting win. But yeah, we'll see.
After basketball a couple of years ago, maybe they go football here. Live action short. Well, this is always so much fun. 24 categories in 24 minutes. Rob, good luck. And everybody watch Rob on the pre-show He is hosting a 2-hour pre-show with a whole lot of our contributors this weekend. And we've got 7,000 people making predictions now on the Oscar winners. So you jump in and see if you can beat both of us.